on, we have Fritz Reese will be, and Jerry Simon here, who thinks he got to be working for Miss America pageant or something anyway, the way he handles the mic. But thank you all very much for coming, and we'll get started.
We do have our own chaplain here in the Southern Nevada Community Gang Task Force, so I'll turn it over to her.
Thank you very much, and for today's invocation, I'd like to call out Chaplain Kevin Child to give the invocation. So let's give him a hand and welcome him.
Bow your heads, please. Dear Lord Jesus, we thank you for this time that we've come together, that we would rejoice in your name, Lord. We'd ask blessings upon the people that come in here in this community to make a difference.
Them minutes, because it's actually the stakeholders meeting. We're going to give them a verbal update using the presentation, because it's been about a year since our last quarterly meeting. That's a long time to wait for a quarterly meeting. The steering committee has been very, very busy doing upgrades to the gang task force, and here are some of the things that we've been working on. Model, which is the model that we base the whole gang task force on. Review the Southern Nevada Community Gang Task Force goals and statistical efficacy. Also, review the current operations protocol for the Southern Nevada Community Gang Task Force. It's going to be a real good school lesson.
I'm going to give the stats right now for the Boys and Girls Club for 2010. And their stats were they serviced 13,231 kids this year.
I'd like to give you the training stats for this year. This year we've conducted 14 parent handbook on gangs trainings and 323 adults attended. Metro's youth education section conducted 4 gangs training, 170 adults attended. They also conducted 2 youth violence awareness trainings, 36 adults attended, and they conducted 2 intersections trainings, and 2,120 middle schoolers attended. So we're trying to get the word out there, but we can always do that.
If you don't reach a child before they reach the age of 13, then there's no hope for them. However, that prevailing view goes against the research. That if we engage youth in positive exposure, practical thinking, and positive action, we begin to change what is referred to as brain plasticity, or that's the ability of the brain to change in relationship to its environment. And so that's what we try to do in the intervention aspect of the gang task force, is we try to get youth involved in these particular activities that will eventually engage in what we refer to as cognitive restructuring, changing the way they think so that we change the rest of Southern Nevada Community Gang Task Force Family Action Council of 152 families all throughout the valley, as directed by Mrs. Joanne Diaz, right outside of the Richard Steele Health and Wellness Community Center. And we were able to train 164 instructors in our evidence-based program called the Leadership and Resiliency Program. And so last year, with this approach, we were able to engage a 95% participation rate, 82% graduation rate according to the proficiency exams, 72% reduction in school absences, 58% decrease in truancies. This year, we were able to engage a 97% participation rate, 90% graduation rate according to the proficiency exams, 85% reduction in school absences, 78% reduction in school disciplinary reports, and 70% decrease in truancy. And we want to acknowledge Mr. Lou Collins for raising the bar to another level. And so we give him a Southern Nevada Community Gang Task Force Community Champion Award. Goes to Mr. Lou Collins.
All right, Lou. All right, Lou. Speech.
Wow.
Speech.
Thank you, Jared. And I'd like to introduce our success story is from Air Force Taekwondo and Master Louis Castro.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Chaplain Louis Castro. I'm a retired Air Force, and I am one of the instructors for the Air Force Taekwondo. And as most of you know, that I was also involved in gangs when I was younger, and one of the things that I've always vowed is to prevent that from happening in the future to anybody that I can help. I have a success story for you. Her name is Janet Robinson, and she is just got a green belt recently in our system, and also did the last tournament. You got first place in forms and first place in sparring. Please help me welcome Mr. Rogers.
Good afternoon. I'm 13 years old. I am in the 7th grade and I attend Nevada Virtual Academy. My biological father and mother are drug addicts. They are both mentally and physically handicapped. My father and mother were recruited in a family gang in Idaho. My gang gave them drugs to hook them into selling drugs in their small town. The gang's mother and father taught their children to steal and convert their loot into cash. I was born a drug baby because both my father and mother were on drugs before I was born. I weighed 13 pounds when I was 16 months old. I had ADHD, a severe loss of hearing. I couldn't walk. My knees were bowed out. I was unable to speak or cry. The tendons in the back of my left leg had not fully developed, and I walk on my toes. I still do. My father and mother kept me in a crib most of my early days. They nearly starved me to death. When I was taken out of the crib and placed on the floor, I attempted to crawl and play with a potbelly pig that my parents kept and let run freely in the house. Not caring at all, I had to crawl on the floor covered in pig feces. Due to the living conditions, the police were called and they arrested my father. My grandparents were also called, and my sister and I were placed in their custody. 1 year later, my sister and I were adopted. My grandparents are now and forever my mom and dad. Now I have 4 sisters and 5 brothers. Before I attended Nevada Virtual Academy, I was enrolled in a public school filled with gangs. No one wanted to be my friend. They just ignored me and made fun of me for no reason. Now that I am in Taekwondo and out of public schools, I have tons of friends. I'm learning to respect my parents, instructors, and others. I'm learning to defend myself and stay away from gangs. Parents don't even know that their kids are in gangs. Possibly they don't care. Thank you.
It's taken a lot for her to come up here and get our love.